What is something unrealistic that you often see in movies that annoys the hell out of you?
Misunderstandings with dire consequences that could easily be cleared up if the protagonist just said something. Anything.
The way gifts are wrapped. They're always in boxes with actual lids, like shoe boxes, not ones with flaps, and the lid is wrapped separately from the box so when they open the present, they just lift the lid. Also, if there's a ribbon wrapped around it, the ribbon's not taped on and slides right off. Has anyone ever done this in real life?
People doing CPR. Then the person who just got CPR wakes up like 10 minutes later and eats lunch. Also, movies are really bad at maintaining sterile fields in operating rooms.
People getting knocked out cold for an hour, then waking up and going about their day like nothing's happened. I once got knocked out for like 2 minutes and ended up sick for a month.
I'ma say it, just casually rolling over after having sex, like no cleanup, no awkward run to the toilet. Who are these people?
High schoolers who look like beep supermodels.
Everybody acting like the heroine is plain. She's wearing glasses and a baggy sweater and a ponytail, but her face is perfect, her teeth are perfect, her skin is perfect, and she hasn't got an ounce of fat anywhere.
As a guy who works with computers, pretty much any computer scene, especially hacking scenes. If I bypass the firewall using a SQL protocol, I can load the XML into the CSS stack and update the database to cross the JavaScript and SVG streams. And I'm in. Much of that is legitimate terminology, but used in a very wrong manner.
I always enjoy watching lab scenes. People looking into microscopes that aren't even turned on or plugged in. No one has gloves on or their hair pulled back. Unrelated formulas scrolled on whiteboards. And always, I mean all beep ways, if they are in a lab, be it a biology lab, physics, what have you. There will be chemistry glassware too.
My son-in-law is a video game programmer and it drives him crazy when in cop shows/movies they use a computer to search for a match to fingerprints or a face and the screen scrolls with the images flashing on the screen. He's like, do you know how much computing power it takes to render all those images? The computer doesn't need to flash them on the screen.
Calling someone, and then instantly start talking. I don't know why exactly, but that has really bothered me. You didn't even let it ring.
Casually strolling away from a massive explosion.
Someone gets hit so hard that they fly through a wall, then they get up and keep fighting. No, you're going to spend the next year learning to walk again.
Women having unfathomable orgasms after 0.3 seconds of penetrative sex. Edit. First ever award, and it's about unrealistic sexual expectations. I love it. Disclaimer. I know that some women can finish from penetration, but I feel like it's represented in film as the standard, which statistically isn't the case, and TBH is surely detrimental to most men and women who then think something is wrong if it doesn't happen like that.
When two characters do something simple like glancing at each other and then the romance has started. If a man and a woman bump into each other and some music plays, that's enough to ensure the romance has begun. I bump into guys all the time. Where's my boyfriend?
What's wrong now, Carla? Well, big sister, you just haven't been the same since you had that run-in with your classmate Peter at the bar, where I've been working since I dropped out of college, due to having an abortion.
Omniscient bad guys. I know you have to have the plot move forward, but dude is trying to hide in Europe and somehow the villain is always where the hero wants to go before they get there. I mean, Europe is pretty damn big, and I can't imagine getting totally lost there would be all that difficult.
Gun silencers being that quiet. In reality, they're like the sound of someone clapping.
The total lack of acknowledgement of water needs when people are wandering around in post-apocalyptic settings. As a hiker and backpacker, awareness of my next water source is a huge issue. Scenes where a group are passing around a single canteen, some pouring water on their heads, are obviously scripted by someone who has never been out in the wilderness.
The old, you cough, you die.
Nobody opens the door 2 seconds after the doorbell rings. Nobody.
Pretty much any police detective show. Female detective constantly wearing high heels, which would be uncomfortable alone and very challenging during the inevitable foot chase scene. Immediately upon discovering evidence at a crime scene, they will pick it up using a loosely held glove or the tip of a pencil. In real life, evidence needs to be documented/photographed before handled, and how lazy are you that you can't properly slip on a glove? just about everything else forensics-wise. Everyone with loose hair, rarely wearing gloves, every fingerprint or other piece of evidence is relevant to the crime. The crime scene line is like 10 feet from the body, so the public has a great view of everything, and of course any nearby evidence is destroyed. Every time the cop says that you have to tell me 10 or 1, I'm going to arrest you for obstruction. Edit to add a few more that drive me crazy. The main detective realizes there is an active violent situation or someone's life is at immediate risk. Cue them driving across the city, lights and sirens, and being the first to arrive. Like they couldn't send a local patrol car? Every radio broadcast. Never waiting for dispatch to respond, rarely use call signs or give enough information. Investigating cases with a clear conflict of interest or personal connect, but nobody cares because somehow you're the only cop that knows what to do somehow. The main characters seem to witness major crimes during the off-duty time almost every other episode, and of course over the series each of them will be framed for a crime and will have to personally investigate to clear their name. Suspects rarely have a competent lawyer and will immediately confess and provide their motive upon being shown the slightest bit of circumstantial evidence.
How bad the villains always are at shooting. Don't get me wrong, Star Wars wouldn't be the same if Luke gets scalped by a stormtrooper 30 minutes into the first movie, but good God are they bad.
Sometimes in sex scenes, the guy will just undo his belt and immediately stick his piece right in. No foreplay, no lube, just immediately right in within seconds. My wife and I call it Mad Men style sex, because almost every sex scene in Mad Men was like this. I know it does happen, but Hollywood thinks all sex is immediately penetrative. And the woman is coming immediately.
Everyone always answers their phone, usually on the first ring. And no matter where you are, you have perfect reception.
Mostly in rom-coms, people randomly running into each other out in public. Like, how small is your town that you bumped into the same person 3 days in a row at a restaurant or bar shop?
When the entire plot rests on a character not explaining something that can be explained in under 1 minute. Characters making the dumbest, most unrealistic choices just to further the plot. Unnecessary sex scenes that add nothing whatsoever to the movie. Ordering at a restaurant and only taking one bite and leaving. In a post-apocalyptic world, somehow all cars on the road are parked or stranded in such a way that our main character has no problem driving between them. Witness protection somehow always fails in movies.
Most fight scenes. Bar fight, guy gets hit with 6 broken chairs, several bottles broken over his head, still gets up fine and fights off like 20 other guys. Real fighting is the most physically exhausting thing you can do. Your average person would barely last a minute. Most street fights are 1 of 2 punches before they get winded. Athletes have to do insane amount of endurance training and conditioning to be able to fight. 3 minutes in the ring will feel like a lifetime. Beyond that, many such injuries will completely knock you out or be fatal. Again, on the street, if you punch someone, knock them out, and their head hits pavement, there is a fair chance you just killed them. Even then, most head injuries you just don't get up and keep fighting from. But because of Hollywood, every jackass thinks they can take on 20 guys at once or would do awesome in a fight.
People living in these gigantic NY or LA apartments while working jobs that realistically could never pay for such a nice place.
No body hair. Ever.
Someone shooting 10,683 rounds from a 1911 without reloading.
No matter the location or how crowded it is, there's always a parking space right exactly where someone's going to.
Everything is always so dark, and no one ever bothers to turn the lights on. Even when they do, it's like a 10-watt bulb in a warehouse that only illuminates 2 feet around it.
Opaque beverage cups and are always empty and never look right when hefted and drank from. They could at least put water in them to get the motion right, but never do, and once you start noticing this, it just ruins so many shots for you because it looks so stupid. Edit, meant cups and mugs.
Childbirth. Water breaks, you go immediately to the hospital, it's time to push, she pushes 3 times and immediately reverts to her pre-pregnancy state. Also, her hair and makeup are immaculate. A bonus in unbelievability for surprise twins, a sudden marriage proposal, or a newborn who is clearly 6 months or older.
High school scenes where there are lounges in the hallway and students are free to be wherever they want to be around the buildings no matter the time of day without consequence.
Women in historical drama wearing corsets directly against their skins. Back then clothes were expensive, so people had to wear an additional layers of chemise or shift made from linen that can be frequently washed. It annoys me to no end when sexy scenes show dudes just pulling couple strings, then historical ladies be butt naked in the matter of seconds, while in reality you'd be needing an appointment in 3 to 5 business days before shorty finishes disrobing.
The disregard for basic physics.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.